Reels, right now. This is the most comprehensive overview of everything you need to know about Reels to promote yourself effectively through them right now. What should you film? Where should you film? Where should you edit? Ideas? Trends? Absolutely everything you need to know and understand we'll discuss today in this video. If you mess up there, you'll end up messing up in Reels too as a result. That's obvious and secondary. That's how you should approach filming. No exaggeration, 30 reels in one day. Accordingly, a solid understanding of your target audience is also fundamental. So far, I haven't seen any super impressive statistics in practice. Specifically for these videos, I haven't seen it. I filmed and posted more than 200 reels. A large number of my videos have gotten 300, 500, even 700,000 views. I'm already attracting a significant audience through reels. I was able to monetize this audience. I have an entire playlist on this YouTube channel about Reels, where I explain absolutely everything. Updates, changes, nuances. In my course, Sales System and Bushman, there's an entire module dedicated to Reels. I regularly hold consultations, including on the topic of Reels. Just today, literally on the day of filming, a girl who had a consultation with me wrote to me. Together, we came up with the Reels concept she needs to use to promote herself. So you can definitely trust me on this topic. And right now, I plan to go over the main points very briefly and concisely, what you need to know, understand, and use so your reels actually work. And at the same time, you won't be spending too much time on them. The first question is, what should you film? Let's talk about formats. I've already released an entire video where I talked about the different types of reels that exist. In that video, I reviewed each format, discussing the pros and cons. You can watch it later if you'd like. But in this video, I want to highlight 3 formats that, in my opinion, work best right now, if you're looking not just for views, but for conversions into followers and clients. The first format is all sorts of talking head variations. This can be shot casually on the go with an iPhone. Right now, there's a bit of a trend for so-called messy reels, where it's filmed kind of carelessly. The main thing is to have good sound. It can also be some really cool cinematic footage, but essentially, it's still you talking on camera. And basically, as long as you avoid the kind of concept where it's just you with a purple background, which is already outdated and everyone's tired of it, the talking head is still a great format. It's a really cool and effective way to showcase your expertise, present your product, your idea, or your concept. The main thing is to introduce yourself directly to the audience through a short Reels video, so that people might actually consider following you. Something that definitely won't happen if they just watch some short, trendy 10-second reel where you didn't really show yourself, or maybe you weren't even in it at all. The second format that I really respect, that I use regularly, and that usually gets me the most views personally, is filming everything around me, including myself, and then adding a voiceover. In other words, it's a video sequence with narration. This is my absolute favorite format. If you approach it the right way, you can make a lot of these videos in a very short amount of time. I actually have a full tutorial here on my YouTube channel, showing exactly how I do it. In this format, where you have some footage and a voiceover, you can easily make 30 reels in a single day. No exaggeration. Be sure to check it out later if you like this kind of format. If you'd like to try this format for yourself, but still find doing the voiceover really difficult, and the third format is a reaction or opinion about something, which can be recorded on half the screen with a green background, while something is happening in the background. It could be when you're holding something in your hands and sharing your thoughts about it, or when you're breaking down a situation that happened, and the shot can change during that. First it's you, then the situation, then you again, or sometimes the situation or a shot comes first, and then you. It can also be on half the screen, maybe a third of the screen, and sometimes with the green background behind you. By the way, this is exactly the format we chose for my student. I explained to her the specifics of how to do it so that it would get good views and subscriptions. And here you go, here are the results statistics. Indira, sending you my regards. I'm very proud of you. Because a huge number of people record this kind of format, but for some reason, they don't get these kinds of results. I believe that the third format is the most promising if you need to make sales through your content. If you don't just want views and publicity, but specifically want to sell your products and services. But everyone is different, and different formats work for different people. Maybe you have other goals, so check out my video about formats too, the one I already mentioned today. The next question is, where do you edit? Okay, we've figured out what to shoot, so now, after I film this, who and where is going to edit it? Let's break it down. There are 3 ways to edit. Basically on a computer, on your phone, or by hiring someone to do the editing for you. Let's quickly go through each option with their pros and cons. Editing on your phone is the most accessible and the simplest option. Now you can use not only apps like CapCut or similar older ones that we all know. And there's also a new app called Edits from Instagram. There were rumors that Instagram would promote videos made in Edits. So far, I haven't really seen any super impressive stats in practice, and I haven't noticed any kind of major promotion for those videos either, but it does have advanced analytics, which is pretty nice. You can absolutely edit on your phone by yourself at first. There's nothing wrong with that. I do it myself. Literally, my latest videos were made that way. I edited them myself by hand in edits, so Instagram just put them together for us. The second editing option is to edit on a computer. You can use specialized programs, or even simple ones like CapCut, just the desktop version. If you know how to use more advanced editing programs, that's great, because sometimes editing on your phone can slightly reduce the quality. If you're editing on a computer, you can take advantage of a bit more functionality, provided you need it, and yet slightly better quality. Though not always, these options vary. Personally, I added this point because I always believe that when you start earning your first money from social media, you should use that money to hire assistants so you can use free organic promotion and sales methods even more effectively. I'm against immediately taking money from somewhere else, your savings, another business, to do this. Or taking money from your husband, dad, or mom to invest in hiring assistants. I believe that every business should be self-sustaining. You can absolutely manage things on your own until you start making money from Instagram, if we're talking about Instagram, so that you can then use that money to hire an assistant. I think hiring an assistant is the way to go. These are great strategies. I have several assistants for different social networks. I'm really glad to have them. It was an excellent decision. I will definitely keep hiring more, but I absolutely don't recommend doing this at the stage when you're not yet earning any stable income from your social networks. And you end up having to pay these employees out of your own savings or someone else's money. The next question is how to film. I'm not going to talk here about how you need good lighting, or that you should have at least decent sound from a microphone, or just by holding it close, like this with your phone. That's obvious and secondary. I want to tell you about the important principles of how you should approach filming and planning in general. Reels. You know, it's something in between the question of what to film and how to film. First, the topic of Reels, whatever you choose, whether it's an expert topic or a personal one, should definitely be something that's present in your life. If you want to promote yourself effectively through Reels, the topics you cover absolutely need to be part of your life right now. They need to be relevant. They need to be an important part of your life, an important part of your mindset, something you actually think about. Those are exactly the kinds of topics you should choose. You shouldn't pick topics that have nothing to do with your life, just because they're cool, trendy, triggering, interesting, or whatever else. No, they need to be part of your life. Second, you need to have an overall concept. You can allow yourself to cover different topics, both professional and personal, but conceptually, all of it should be unified, either by a single format or by a consistent set of topics that you regularly address. This concept should be reflected in the fonts you use, in the headlines you create, in the way you generally present your videos. If you don't do this, it will feel like a mess, like everything is all over the place, and each video will be pulling the blanket over itself instead of working together in one direction and bringing you a new audience who will eventually become your clients. The next point in our discussion about what to film and how to film it. Because first and foremost, your content should be based on your audience's interests, not just your own personal interests. No matter how much we might want to, if we just film what interests us, it might work once, it might attract some people, some attention, some reach, but it won't bring us a real audience. That's why, first and foremost, we need to focus on the needs and pain points of our audience, and only then think about our own desires, needs, and so on. By focusing on the needs and pain points of our audience, we can think about what would be more interesting for us to talk about, and how I personally would find it more engaging to present this topic. But the topics and ideas we put forward should be tailored specifically for our target audience, not just something from our own heads or from a chat. Not from GPT, not from the Reels feed we've seen from competitors, but specifically from the needs and pain points of your audience. That's the foundation. Accordingly, a solid understanding of your target audience and making the right choice is also fundamental. Accurately describing these needs and pain points is crucial, because if you mess up there, you'll keep making mistakes down the line. As a result, the next question that often comes up in my comments is, where do I get ideas from, even though the concept is clear? I save things from the Reels feed, but none of it really feels like mine. Those aren't my unique thoughts. So what should I do? Where do I get ideas? The first and most important place you should get your ideas from is Kuzgev. Your audience is basically their requests, and more importantly, the profile of your audience, the triggers of your audience. Everything related to your target audience should be a source of topics for your content. I'll let you in on a secret. If you have your target audience profile put together correctly, if you've described your target audience and all its nuances, you'll have so many content ideas that you won't know what to do with them all. If you look at your target audience profile and think, well, that's all great, but where do I get content topics from? Then you definitely have a problem with your target audience. You need to go back and work on it. Start with that. The second place and source of topics and ideas for Reels is what concerns you personally. The best combination is when you start from what your target audience wants, but you choose to talk about, film, and present certain topics specifically through what genuinely concerns you. Every time I just spontaneously picked up my phone and recorded a thought that just came to me, something that made a strong impression on me, you can feel it, both in the energy and in the way I talk about it. And videos like that usually get really good views. For example, I just shared an insight from a book, a pretty basic one. But that video got 100,000 views and brought me about 300 new subscribers. Even though it wasn't really on the main topic of my blog, but that's okay sometimes. Just another nuance about how to look for ideas, how to come up with them, where to find ideas, and how to shape them. You can even consult with ChatGPT for that. You can refine some of your ideas, transform them, look for things similar to your ideas, or search for slightly alternative takes on your ideas, which ultimately leads to new ideas with the help of ChatGPT. It's very important not to just ask, hey, ChatGPT, write me some ideas for Reels in this niche. That's really a dead end. You definitely shouldn't do it that way. In the previous video, I talked about how to work properly with ChatGPT and artificial intelligence, so that you don't ruin your relationship with your audience and your sales, or lead your blog astray into something, like a machine-like, automatically boring, totally cookie-cutter story, which is often what ChatGPT promotes, but instead how to use it correctly so that your own ideas just become more interesting. Presented as engaging and interesting ideas, and stood out from the rest. So, check out that video. I explained in detail what you can and can't do with ChatGPT. And it's not just about Reels, it's generally about how you can work with your blog, how you can make your work easier, and what you absolutely shouldn't do if you don't want to lose sales and your audience's loyalty. And one more, let's say bonus tip, this one's about trends. As you may have noticed, I barely talked about trends today. I only mentioned that word once. That's because I believe that if your goal isn't just to gain some reach, some activity, some attention, or media presence, but rather to make sales, promote your services and products, and promote yourself. As an expert and a blogger, you can actually ignore trends altogether. You don't have to use trending music, you don't have to shoot trend-based content, and it's even better if you don't. Some trending editing formats change faster than you can even learn and apply them. You definitely shouldn't get hung up on just one format. I absolutely give you permission to forget about trends, not use them at all, and you won't lose anything. In fact, you'll only gain. Let me make a note of that here, okay? On my YouTube channel, which is called Evgenia Bushman Sales. On Instagram, there's a whole playlist with videos about Reels. There are a ton of videos about Reels there, covering all angles, analyzing Reels, the Reels algorithm, what you should film, and how to film it. All the formats that exist. I break down my own experience, what I learned after posting 200 Reels. So really, there's a lot of content there. I recommend checking it out if you're interested in Reels. On my Instagram, of course, you can watch the actual Reels and see how I put everything into practice. Everything I talk about. But on my Telegram channel, I share exclusive content. From time to time, I do breakdowns, including Reels, of my students' work, and even just my followers. There are already recordings of webinars and exclusive breakdowns that were held only on Telegram, and you have the chance to go watch them while the recordings are still available. Well, that's all from me for today. This was Evgenia Bushman here. I hope this video was helpful for you. Be sure to share your feedback in the comments. Tell me, what Reels formats do you use, and what is the hardest part for you in creating Reels? That way I'll know what topics to cover in future videos. That's all for today. Bye everyone!